I'm Eric Singer, Gazette.com with Broncos Future, and this is the future of the Denver Broncos from here on out. Coach Gary Kubiak, soon to be announced officially by the team, but the contract is signed, sealed, and delivered. Joining me now, sports columnists with the Gazette, Paul Klee and David Ramsey, both on the phone with us. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me.
Yeah, it's great to be with you, Eric. Thanks, Eric.
All right, both of you said last week that Coach K was going to be the man. First, Paul Klee from Denver, let's talk about the focus of where the Broncos are intending to go with Coach Kubiak.
Well, it looks to me, Eric, like and David probably will echo this, that they're going back to the future at this point, and they're getting some of their band back together. They had a lot of success in Colorado when Gary Kubiak was the offensive coordinator and John Elway obviously was the quarterback. So we'll see if they're able to rekindle some of that success. I was crunching some numbers this morning to get a better idea of who Gary Kubiak is as a head coach, and it's a very mixed bag. He went from 1 year having the 30th ranked defense to the next year having the 3rd ranked defense. You know, 1 year he had the number 1 ranked passing offense, and 2 years later he had the number 1 or number 2 ranked rushing offense. So there's nothing. I think it's very hard right now, difficult to say definitively whether this was a good move, getting rid of John Fox and moving on to Gary Kubiak.
David, reaction?
Well, one thing, and just some more numbers for you, Eric and Paul. Gary Kubiak in 8 seasons with the Texans led the Texans to 4 playoff games. 4. And he was 2-2 in the playoffs. We all know that Fox, has had a much better run with the playoffs in his career. And the question that runs through my mind, and I think runs through any honest Bronco observer's mind, is Gary Kubiak an improvement on John Fox? And that's not an indictment of Gary Kubiak. That's a proper, view of John Fox, who in many ways did magnificent work here in Denver. And Paul's written about this, and it's true. John Fox directed a Broncos team to the playoffs with Tim Tebow playing quarterback. He adapted to that team. He adapted to the strength. That was one of the best coaching jobs I've ever seen. And I'm an old guy. So, Kubiak has a tough task ahead because John Fox is an elite NFL coach. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
So do both of you think at this point, with Coach Kubiak coming on board, do you foresee the $19 million man for next year, Peyton Manning, coming back as well?
I do. I think that the question in my mind is not does Peyton play 1 more year, but whether he plays 2. And he has 2 years left on that contract. I think a lot depends on his health, of course. But, he should fit well with Gary Kubiak. And we know he has a good relationship with John Elway.
David?
Well, the question isn't so much if Manning will be back, or the question is, will Manning be Manning? And if you answer yes to that question, you're taking an exception to history. If you look at football history, there's been a precious few 39-year-old quarterbacks who performed at an elite level. There's been a few, but you are making a bet on a 39-year-old quarterback who's had 4 neck surgeries. So the question, I think Manning's going to be back. Paul and I agree on that. But will Manning be Manning? I hope so, because life in Colorado is a lot more fun when the Broncos are winning.
Thank you, gentlemen, both of you. That was sports columnists Paul Klee and David Ramsey, both on the line. And of course, we're waiting to see and meet the new coach of the Denver Broncos. That will be potentially Tuesday at a news conference at Dove Valley, and we will be there as well. With Broncos Future, I'm Eric Singer, Gazette.com.